Okay, so just a little short one today. I realise it's been a while since I've done any updates. I've not really gotten around to it, sadly. Just other things getting in the way, other hobbies, my own personal health, that kind of a thing. But today we're going to do just a simple little video. It's one that I've had in the background for a little while. Trying new video setup here, so apologies if it just seems a little bit stark, and apologies again for any background noises. There is some kind of renovation works going on downstairs, and today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to, or a method of heat shrinking the handles on an old set of snips like these, and you can do it for pliers, knives, you can do it for all sorts. Let's get that out in case we need it. Rather than have the noise of my hot air gun going, I'm going to be using a lighter. This is not the recommended method. You should really use a hot air gun. But yeah, essentially, if you've renovated, restored any old tools like these, or even if you've got some, been given some, and this can just get very slippery when you're using it, especially if there's no knurling on the edge or patterning, which some of them do have. Then you may find you want a rubber coating. Now, one method is to dip them in some kind of a rubberized coating, like I think it's a Plasti-Dip, something like that. Another method is to use good old-fashioned heat shrink tubing. Now, if you're not aware of what this is, essentially it's a kind of rubberized tubing. Comes in a large variety of sizes. Look, I've got tiny ones here, all the way up to some huge ones. This is usually used for making electrical connections sort of watertight. So you'd put your wires together, solder them, or connect them whatever way, and then you'd have some of this over the top of it, shrink it, and that will create a sort of a weatherproof seal for most cases. But there are other uses for the stuff. Now, what I like to do personally when I'm well, let's add a little more context. You can get different ones of these that will shrink in, say, a 2-to-1 fashion, 4-to-1 fashion, or I think it's 1-to-4. Ratio's the wrong way around. But that means that it will shrink to either half the size. Zuko, stop it. Wait, Resto Dog, stop it. But yeah, that will shrink to a varying amount of its original size. In this application, it's not going to matter which one you use, really. But what I like to do for something like this is to find a piece that is close to the size of what you're coating, because then no matter what size it shrinks to, it's going to be tight. Let's have a look. Let's see what I've got here. Could use one as loose as that. I think this stuff will do that. What other sizes have I got? Is this one a little bit small? I think this one might be a little bit smaller. Let's have a look. If it's a little bit smaller, it's going to be ideal. Yeah, I think that one is just a tiny bit smaller. So, yeah, I'm going to use this one, I think. And you just sort of slide it over. I'd prefer to cut its size beforehand, so I'm going to take this. Just rough measurements are absolutely fine for this stuff. Little brass scalpel here from Oceanus Brass. I've been collecting a lot of their brass stuff. Like this wonderful Kraken knife of theirs. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, so I'm just going to take the scalpel, cut that size, take another piece of tubing, double check it's the right size, which I don't think that is. So I think that one's the bigger one, and that one's the... No, that's the bigger one. Oops. So this one should... Oh no, yeah, this one is the same size. There we go. So it can get confusing sometimes. And again, yeah, rough sizes are absolutely fine. It doesn't need to be perfect, especially as I'm not selling these to someone else. And then I'm going to slide it over as far as I want it to go. And yeah, there really is about the point. And then you just apply some heat to get it to shrink. Now, you're not looking to melt it, so be careful not to, set fire to it or anything. is usually pretty hard to actually set fire to, so you haven't got to worry too much. Not the best lighter for this, but then like I say, a heat gun is usually better for this anyway. It's more what it's designed for, is that you'd use a heat gun with a fine nozzle. But just for the purposes of this video, I didn't want the extra noise of the heat gun going. And you can see that that's shrinking down to pretty much just fairly tightly coat my little snips here. In this case, perhaps not tight enough because it's still sliding off, but these are also very well designed for such a thing to slip off of, to be fair. They are definitely a pair in which I would be tempted to maybe pop a blob of super glue in the end as well, just to really sort of hold it on. But this will definitely help in with regards to gription when using them, especially when your hands start getting a bit wet. Actually, doing the second one is exactly the same process, so rather than make this video run longer than I need it to, that I will call it done. Thanks again for watching. This is Southos Restores, and you know, have fun restoring your own stuff. See you next.